Hello and welcome to this lesson on the fine old tune, the Keel Row. This tune comes from Tyneside in the UK. I used to sing it when I was a child. For some reason I used to think it was a Scottish tune, but as you've just heard, it isn't. Before we start, you need to find out whether your Melodeon is a third button start or a fourth button start. The one I'm using here is a fourth button start, and if you don't know what that means, it means that this row, which is the G row, if I press the fourth button and push the bellows in, that is the note of G. Now if you do that and that isn't G and it's B, it's this note, then you've got a third button start. So in other words, if you press your third button on the G row and push the bellows in, that will give you the G. So that's the third button start. This is a fourth button start, and that's why I don't really talk about the numbers of the buttons that often in the lesson, because they might be different on your Melodeon than mine, okay? So make sure you've got that sorted out before you start. The Keel Row is in 4/4 time, so it's 4 beats the bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. It should be said that the music as written, we don't actually play it exactly as written, because it sounds like that as written, and we don't actually play it that way. We play it in a kind of a triplet, sort of smooth way, but we often do this on music. We write the notes out so they're sort of fairly easy to follow. The actual rhythm is slightly different to what is actually written. But don't let that worry you, just copy me and you'll be absolutely fine. Most of the tune, in fact the entire tune, is on this G row. That's the row nearest to the bellows. I do play one little note on this row, the D row, which is an accidental, and depending on whether you've been playing a long while or not that long, you'll either play that note or you won't. It's kind of an option, all right? So we'll get to that in due course, don't worry about that. If you see little dagger symbols underneath notes, it means that they can be sounded by just holding onto the button. Don't repress the button, just change the direction of the bellows, and that will give you the note you want. You don't have to do that, it's purely an option, but it's sometimes a really good way to get a smooth effect from the playing. All the other things I'll deal with as we go. So the very first bar, it says NC, which means no chord. So it's played without using the left hand. You just play a couple of little notes, and this is optional. It's not really in the tune. The tune starts at the letter A there, which is the A part. These A and B's in the big squares, you can see them. They're there as rehearsal marks, okay? So this first little bit, it's just a little bit of running. I put it in because it gives you an opportunity to try and do a little slur. Let's just play the notes without the slur first of all. It's finger 2. If you're not quite sure which one is finger 2, well, finger 1 is your index finger and finger 2 is the second finger. It's not like the piano, the thumb doesn't count, okay? So it's finger 2. On my Melodeon it's button 4, it might be button 3 for you, and the note you want is G. So press that button, push in with the bellows, and then I can hang on to that note and just pull out and get the next note, which is A. Like that, see? If you want to repress the button, it's absolutely fine. As far as the bellows go, don't sort of yank them around. You don't need them really wide out. Just about where I've got them, that should cope with all the notes in this tune. We'll deal with the air button as we go, I think. So now those two notes there, a dotted quaver and a semiquaver, they come in on beat 4. So you will count 1, 2, 3, 4, and count it 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can see, if you look carefully, a tiny little note just before the first main note, and if you've got good eyesight, you'll be able to notice it's got a diamond head, because it's on the D row. On my music, if a tune is in the key of G, I give all the notes on the G row a normal head, and the notes on the D row I give a diamond head, so you can see at a glance which row the note is played on. So this first little grace note, this kind of crushed in note, is on the D row. And it's there, it's button 5 on my Melodeon, might be 4 on yours. And I'm going to use finger 3, and I'm going to play that note. You can hear just ahead of the first main note. It's got a grace note and it's really crushed in. You can see that, okay? So it'll be 1, 2, 3. So you hardly notice it. 1, 2, 3. If you can't do that, don't worry. I put it in because I'm doing this lesson for improvers as well as beginners. And as I say, you don't have to play this pickup bar at all. You can just start at letter A. So let's go to letter A, and we have this. There's your first bar. Very recognisable tune, very famous tune. Let's deal with the right hand first. Right, half the bar is on the push of the bellows. The push means closing the bellows, and half the bar is on the pull, where you pull the bellows open. So what you've got right hand wise there, you've got B, G, B, finger 3, finger 2, finger 3, okay, and then you've got C, A, C. Exactly the same buttons as you played for B, G, B, but on the pull. So it's, notice it's not, but it's got a kind of a swing, isn't it? Notice there, when I change that note of C on beat 3, I don't repress the button, I just pull the bellows to sound the note. See? And with that right hand, we have a left hand. We have G bass, G chord, C bass, C chord. Right, G bass is this button down here, and I'm playing that with my little finger. I'm a little bit unusual in this respect. Most people only use 3 fingers on their basses, or even 2. I started off by using 3, but rapidly progressed, as I call it, to using all 4 fingers. To me, it was very logical to have 1 finger per button on these 2 rows. And so nearly always I use my little finger on these 2 buttons, my third finger on these 2, my second finger on these 2, and my first finger on these 2. So when I play this button here on the push with my little finger, and I press that button and push in, that's a G bass indicated by a capital letter G. And the button directly above that, do the same thing with my third finger. That's a G chord. In the Melodeon world, for some strange reason, we have the bass notes as capital letters and the chords as lowercase letters. Doesn't make much sense to me, but that's the way it's been done for years, so I'm not going to change it. So it's capital letter G, bass G, lowercase g, chord G. And a chord, of course, is where we have 3 notes together. For a G chord, it's G, B and D, if you're interested. So there's your pa. Notice where the chords crop up in relation to the right hand notes. You've got first 2 notes of the right hand go exactly with the first 2 notes of the left hand. And then you've got a little note on its own. Now, you don't have to lift off the chord, but I probably would. You could go, keep that ringing, but I wouldn't. Keep it fairly short, fairly staccato. The other 2 basses in the bar are C bass and C chord, right? It's move over to the inside row. This is the inside row, this is the outside row. So the inside row down here. So it's buttons 4 and 3. This time we're pulling to get a C bass and a C chord. Incidentally, if you don't know, if you press these buttons and pull out, you get C bass and C chord, and also when you push in, you get the same thing in both directions. And that goes with, and again, yeah, you could leave that C chord ringing for that very last note of the bar, but I wouldn't. So that gives you. So from the beginning, like that. So there's sort of 3 stages in the beginning. You can either do from letter A and just ignore the pickup bar, or you can do the pickup bar, just play the notes, or if you can do it with a little grace note. Remember the counting is 1, 2, 3.